Here we are with another episode of Talking Sports with the Legend. Tonight's guest is Mark Dianno. Take it away there, Legend.
Where were you from?
Well, good evening, Steve, and thanks for having me on. I was originally born in Philadelphia, in Hahnemann Hospital in Center City, Philadelphia, and I lived in Northeast Philadelphia for a couple of years when I was younger. And then my parents moved out to Abington, Pennsylvania, and that's where I grew up in a little town called Roslyn.
Where did you go to high school?
So I attended Bishop McDevitt High School, and I graduated in 1986. And I know you were at Cardinal Doherty at Our Lady of Confidence, right? That's where you went to high school. And I think when Cardinal Doherty closed, they moved Our Lady of Confidence over to Bishop McDevitt. And that's where it was for all these years. And now, unfortunately, we just learned that Bishop McDevitt's going to be closing at the end of this year. So we're sad to see it go, but I'm sure just like you, we've got a lot of great memories of your time at Cardinal Doherty and my time at Bishop McDevitt. And I think Our Lady of Confidence is now going to go back to St. David's Parish up there in Willow Grove.
What sports did you play?
Well, growing up, I played just about everything. When I was in elementary school, I played soccer, I played baseball, basketball, football, I ran track. But when I got to high school, I pretty much concentrated on football and on running track and field, although I did play one season of baseball for Coach Leonetti when he was my coach at Bishop McDevitt my sophomore year. So I played for Rick 1 year for Mr. Leo. So he was a great coach, but the track team needed me more than the baseball team, I think.
How many different colleges were looking at you, and what made you pick Penn?
Well, that's a great question. I was very fortunate. I played on some great teams when I was at Bishop McDevitt High School, and I was getting looked at for a bunch of different schools. But when it really came down to it, it was Penn, Princeton, Brown, and the United States Naval Academy. They were my four final choices. And ultimately, when I decided that I didn't want to go to the Naval Academy because I wasn't sure I wanted to make that much of a commitment at the time, then it came down to visiting the other schools, and I think I felt most comfortable when I was at the University of Pennsylvania. I knew some guys who had gone there who played in front of me. And when I got down onto the campus, I really liked the coaches and the way the setup was. And I was away from home, but I was still close enough that my parents could. So it was really a lot of fun to be able to both run track and to play football for the 4 years at Penn.
Did you win? Did you make all Catholic or all Ivy League when you were at school?
I did. And yeah, Steve, like I said, I got to play on a lot of great teams. So when I was at Bishop McDevitt, I was very fortunate, and I was able to make the all-Catholic team my junior and senior years. And those years, myself and some of my teammates were also voted all-city and all-state. So we had some really good teams back in the mid 80s there. And I got to play with a lot of guys who went on to play college ball. And then, yes, when I got to the University of Pennsylvania, I was actually able to make the all-Ivy team in both football and track.
Very cool.
Yes, it was a lot of fun to be able to play and go to school, but it was also a lot of work. So, and thankfully, I had parents and coaches and teachers who really supported me along the way.
What?
What did he do on the track?
What event did you do at track?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I actually had a bunch of different events. I was mostly a sprinter and a jumper. So on the sprint side, I ran hurdles. So I ran the high hurdles. I would jump over the hurdles. I ran what was in the indoors, it was the 55-meter high hurdles. On the outdoors, it was the 110-meter high hurdles. And then I also led off our 4x1 relay team, our 4x100 relay team. And I was also a long jumper and a triple jumper. So I was busy at the track meets, but I loved it because I was always doing something.
Wow. How tall are you, Mark?
Well, that's the funny thing, Steve. I'm 5'9", and in high school, the high hurdles are about 36 inches, or 39 inches, I think they were. And then when you get to college, they go up to 42 inches. And unfortunately, I didn't grow 3 inches between high school and college. I wish I did, but I didn't. But like I said, I had a lot of great coaches. They really worked my form, and I practiced hard, and it paid off in high school. I was able to make it to the state championships in the indoors my junior and senior years, and senior year I ended up winning the state indoor title in the high hurdles. So not bad for a short little guy.
You ain't kidding, man. You're not. First of all, that's not little, man. I'm 5'10", right? Tell him, Steve.
Yeah.
Little.
There you go.
The reason I asked that question, because you ever watch the hurdle, the people in the Olympics?
No.
Well, you pay attention this summer Olympics.
Yeah, you'll really love them. The hurdles is such a fun event, and even during my time at Penn, the great thing was not just in high school but in college too. I got to run at the Penn relays, and I don't know if you've ever seen those, Steve, but there's 30,000 people in the stands cheering, and it's so much fun to run in that kind of an atmosphere with that many people cheering. And over the years, I've gotten to meet a lot of great hurdlers. I met Roger Kingdom. He was a former United States gold medalist. Ronaldo Nehemiah, they used to call him Skeets Nehemiah. He ran the hurdles, and I also went on to play wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. So
yes, he did.
I got to meet a lot of great athletes through the years, both through football and through my track connections.
Moses?
I never met Edwin Moses. No, I never had the opportunity to meet him, but I did get to see Carl Lewis run. And in high school, back at McDevitt, when we were in the indoor season, we used to compete up at Lehigh University on like Friday nights. And I ran against Leroy Burrell. And I don't know if you remember Leroy Burrell. He was a sprinter for Penwood. And boy, he beat me pretty good. And he was also a really good long jumper. He went on to the University of Houston. And he was also an Olympic champion. I think he ran with Carl Lewis in the Olympics. So he was seeing him in high school and competing against him in high school was really something else, because he was tremendous.
Yeah, the triple jump that Mark said he did. Did you ever see that? They run, and then they jump, and jump. And how does it score and all, Mark?
Yeah, it's kind of like a long jump, but as your dad just said, Steve, it's a hop, a skip, and a jump, and you run down the runway like long jump, and there's a board that's in the runway, and you take off. And I was a left, right jumper. So I would take off my left foot, then I'd land on my left foot, and I'd take off again, and then I'd land on my right foot, and then I'd go into the pit. And what they do is they measure all the way back to the board to where you land in the pit. And my best jump ever was about 49 feet 10. But some of the Olympic guys go 58, 59 feet. So they're really terrific jumpers, and they're fun to watch.
Got the longer legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That does help, right? The
longer legs, taller. Yes, it definitely helps you stretch them out. So
that's interesting. We had Michael Barkan, and he ran the long distance cross country. He did, and you're the first one that we ever had chance to talk track with.
Okay,
it's fascinating because when I went to North Catholic, and a lot of the guys on the football team would be, and that's why I was looking at you, and you're in good shape for somebody of your age. You're only 5 years younger than me, and I would see the guys in the football team with a shot put, and the other guy, but I never really paid attention because it wasn't that big of a thing at North. We had a track behind our school, but they didn't do none of their events there. I think they just practiced there.
Yeah, well, I remember. I guess I was probably either a freshman or a sophomore, but there was a great football player from North Catholic who also threw the shot put, Marty Lippincott, who I think went on to Notre Dame.
He was in the same parish as he lived not too far from where my wife grew up in Ascension Parish.
Okay.
We knew of Marty. My father-in-law was friendly with his dad, I guess it was, at the time. But he lived right around the corner from Pop and Graham down in Kensington.
Oh, really?
Well,
he went up going to Notre Dame on a football scholarship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kensington. That's where my mom grew up, in Kensington. She was St. Hugh's Parish, and then
that's my parish. What's your mom's last name?
Her maiden name was Monahan, Bridget Monahan. She was
get out of here.
She lived right near Cornwall Street, B in Cornwall or C in Westmoreland, right around there.
Yes.
And
That's funny.
she would have gone to Cardinal Doherty, but she ended up going to Little Flower. So she was Little Flower class of 1960.
That is so funny, man. That's because that's where I grew up. That's my grade school, St. Hughes.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah, I
Talk
was-
about a small world. And then my
Yes.
dad, I think I heard you mention one time that, did you go to Stetson Junior High?
No, we lived around a corner from Stetson.
Okay. So that's, my dad went to Stetson Junior High, and then he went to Northeast Public, and he played for Charlie Martin, and he
Yeah.
played on the same team at Northeast Public with Herb Adderley, who
Get
then
outta
went on
here,
to play
man.
for the Packers. Yeah.
Right, that's awesome. See, his dad went to the old, it was the old Stetson, but back then when we went to Stetson, you would go if you went to Stetson. Friends of ours went that, then you would go to Edison.
Mhm.
But when his dad was in school, the Northeast Public, that wasn't up in Northeast; it was down.
Correct.
Right.
It was at the other location. They didn't move it to Cotman and Algon until later.
Right. So so that's where Pop Lewitt went to high school, to the original Northeast up there. That's
Small
funny.
world. Huh?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, so we left off at the track, Steve. He was talking about track. Now you didn't ask him about football, what position and all.
Oh, what position did you play football?
So I was mostly a running back throughout most of my career, but I also played another position called wing back, which is kind of a running back and also a wide receiver. I played that both in high school and in college, and I guess you would say, Steve Edelman that plays for or played for the Patriots, kind of. Julian Edelman, yeah, that's kind of the kind of player I was. I would catch a couple passes every game. I would run the ball out of the backfield occasionally. I was also a punt returner and a kick returner, and I was also the punter and the kicker for the team. So the only thing they didn't let me do was play defense, but I would have loved to have done that too. But we had so many good players. But I got
that was
I had a great opportunity
at Wood. You're talking about at Wood or at Penn?
No, this is at Bishop McDevitt. Yeah,
Okay.
Bishop McDevitt. In fact, we got my freshman year at Bishop McDevitt was the first year that Pat Manzi came over from North Catholic.
Hey, yes.
And he was, he came my freshman year. So, and then he spent 34 years at McDevitt and had a great career. So we were blessed to have him and his coaching staff come in when we were freshmen, and we had very successful times during those years.
Another connection, Mr. Manzi. I remember Mr. Manzi. He was a great coach.
Wrestling coach too, I think.
Yes,
so.
wrestling. He was and then, like I said, and then he went up going to McDevitt and then taking over there. That is so funny. So at Penn, what did you play? Primarily just running back and wing back?
Yeah, primarily running back and kind of that, split wide receiver every now and then. And I was also a punt returner and a kick returner. But we had so many good players down at Penn that other guys did the punting and the kicking and some of the other duties. So
you did a return, and that was all because of his track days. He was quick and fast. And
we go by the football stadium
all the time. Yeah. Stephen goes to we go to Perlman Center every 3 months for his ear cleaning, but we used to go to Chop a lot, and we used to go past there. And Penn's been very good to Stephen through Special Olympics and other events and stuff. We've been
So you've been in Franklin Field then? Have you gotten down on the turf and on the track?
No, it's funny. We
went to the football game. We went
to Temple. See Temple there, but we saw Penn's soccer stadium. Did you see that?
Yeah, the one down along the river.
Yes,
the new one. Yeah, that's incredible.
A friend of Stevens was an assistant coach at St. Joe's, and he invited us out. And we used to play Penn every year at my college because our coach came from Penn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the assistant at Penn under Mr. Seddon. Mr. Seddon coach.
I remember Bob Seddon. He was also an assistant baseball coach, or he was the head coach.
Head soccer coach, and he was the baseball coach.
Coach too.
Wow.
So we used to play them down the shore every summer, and then we would play. We were Division III, so we would play like the freshmen, or we would play
team.
Guys who didn't start, or to give them some playing time and stuff.
And there's Special Olympics that tournament.
Yes, that's what I was getting ready to tell. When Special Olympics used to have a tournament down there that all the doctors and nurses that were going to school. You got sick on the field.
Oh, jeez.
You don't have to tell Mark that part.
Well, I'll tell you what, those fields down there, they've really built up the entire campus down there. And I mean, it's beautiful. It's a lot of the practice fields. So where that soccer field is that you're talking about, that soccer stadium, they were some of our grass practice fields that we used to practice on down there at the time.
That's what I told Steve. We would play Penn there sometimes. If we didn't play we played in Franklin Field a couple of times, but if not, we would play them on that practice field.
Yeah, they used to call them the river fields.
Right, exactly. And remember, because we used to have to go through the baseball field, walk past the baseball field to get to the river fields to do the Special Olympics.
Yeah.
It had a whole day. It was like a full day on Saturday. You would get there at like 8 o'clock, and then they would be done by like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Well, all doctors and nurses that volunteered. Yeah, 1 year was too hot for Steven, man.
What's your favorite sport to play, Steve? Which one do you like the most?
Soccer was.
Soccer? Yeah. Because I know I think I've met you a couple of times because I do volunteer with Coach Leonetti with athletes, helping athletes. So I know I've been at a couple of the soccer fun days and the football fun.
I thought you looked familiar. I saw your face. I was like, I think I know this guy. That is so funny, though.
I never got to play football, but
so
no.
At McDevitt, you're coaching there now?
No, just supporting and I was on the board of directors there. I was fortunate enough to get elected into their football, track, and alumni halls of fame. So that's been my connection with the school and going back there. And then my affiliation with the Maxwell Football Club began when I was at McDevitt when I won the Jim Henry Award 35 years ago. And the club.
So that's the Jim Henry Awards for the outstanding high school athlete in our area, right?
Right, the high school football player of the year from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And it's not, you can't just be a good football player. The Jim Henry was on the board of directors. He was a coach and an educator and a professor of finance at LaSalle University. He was actually one of the guys that founded the Big Five. But when he was on the Maxwell board of directors, they wanted to name the high school player of the year after him. And he said, well, you can do that, but the winner can't just be a great football player. They got to be a good football player, but they also have to be a good student and they have to volunteer in their community. So the winner of the Jim Henry every year is somebody who, meets all three of that criteria. And again, I was just very fortunate that they started at my senior year, and I happened to be, doubly fortunate to win it. And that's how my affiliation with the club started. And they just invited me back all these years to come back to the banquets. And then I got involved on a dinner committee and then eventually worked myself onto the board. I'm an attorney during the day. I practice law for Independence Blue Cross. I work for IBC down at 19th and Market. And so I was the general counsel for the Maxwell Football Club. And then going on 4 years ago now, Ron Jaworski, who I know he quarterbacked the Philadelphia Eagles, he was our president. And when he retired in 2017, the board asked me to take over as president and CEO, and I was flattered by that offer. And that's what I've been serving the Maxwell Club ever since.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, tell me a story about you. Maybe you met him.
Steven got a Michael Vick jersey years ago, and then after he got let go of the team and signed on whatever, and Steven got the name tag taken off, and so he had it in his closet for a while, and he would bring it out and wear it here and there. So the one day he said, "It's kind of big on me. Does it fit you?" And I put it on, and I was like, "Yeah, it fits me." And he's like, "Cool." So he tells my wife, "I'm going to get Jaworski put on the back for Daddy."
There you go.
Ron Jaworski's number.
Mm-hmm.
So Steven puts it on Twitter.
I gave it to you for your birthday.
Gave it to my birthday, and he puts it on Twitter, me getting the jersey. So he sent it to Jaworski's Twitter account. So Jaworski sends him back. He's like, "Oh, that's awesome." So that Saturday, I went golfing with my boss over at Ramblewood.
Oh boy!
I'm walking in by myself because I met my boss and his son and his buddy out there, and who's walking out but Jaworski? So I had to stop him, but I didn't think to get his picture or nothing. I was so excited meeting him. I'm trying to shake his hand. It's going toward COVID, and I'm like, "Oh no, I'm sorry."
Well, he's such a great guy, and he still volunteers, in his time with the club when we need him. Unfortunately this year we're not going to be able to have our big gala. We usually have it the second Friday in March every year down at the Tropicana.
I told him, I said, I always knew it was after
Yeah,
I know the Heisman's at the end of
December. Yep.
And I said, I always remember it
I
was
just
after.
found out I was invited.
Yeah, well, that's what Mark told Rick, and then Rick told Mommy, and then he said, and then Steven goes, "Oh, great, when is it?" And he said it got canceled, Steve.
Because COVID unfortunately is not going to allow us to bring in all the athletes we love to bring in, but we'll make sure, keep you on the list, and if we're back at it again this time next year, we'll make sure to get you down there and so that you can meet some of these guys. I know some of your helping athletes buddies have come down, and hopefully Coach Leo's told you they got to meet, Patrick Mahomes, and I think Zach and Julie Ertz were there, and Baker Mayfield.
He said the magic word. Oh boy, he's been trying to get them to do his podcast.
Yeah, Zach and Julie.
I got a quick question for you, Mark. What did you do in high school to the community service? Like, what did you do that part with?
So back when I was in high school, I did a lot of things through the school, through Bishop McDevitt, the Community Service Corps and some of the other different activities that we would do at school. I was also an Eagle Scout. So through the Boy Scouts of America, I actually did my service projects and service activities through the Scouts. And then through my church, I volunteered at CYO type of things and different things like that through the years. So I had a lot of different things at that time. And again, my parents really felt it was important that, I benefited from a lot of people's efforts. And it's one of the things that I still feel to this day is, you try to give back when you can and make sure that, you help people when you can, because a lot of people helped me to get to where I am.
That's great. See, the CSC, that's why I knew he was going to tell me about CSC. We all had that in high school. So you
Community Service Corps, yep.
Yeah, you did that. And like back when I was in high school, they didn't have as much as they do now with the athletes helping athletes. I would have loved it.
Absolutely. That Operation Santa Claus was kind of the big thing back then. I know.
He let the cat out of the bag. He said what his job is. Remember, he said his job. He's a lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
Steven said, "What was your major in school?" So I'm going to guess he majored in history and then law.
You're right. When I was at the University of Pennsylvania, I was an American history major, and I had a minor in English. And when I graduated from Penn in 1990, I then attended the University of Pittsburgh for law school, and I got my JD, my Juris Doctorate degree, which is what you graduate law school. It's a 3-year program. In 1993, and I passed the Pennsylvania and New Jersey bar. So I've been a licensed lawyer in PA in New Jersey since 1993. So I've been practicing about 28 years now.
Wow, that's how many
years. Long time.
And that's how many years I've been at my job. Tomorrow's 28 years.
Oh, congratulations!
I started there in '93. I graduated college in '85 and did some retail, and now I'm at where I'm at now. So Steve, what the other thing he said was the CYO. See, he was involved at his church. And where was the grade school church?
Right. So the grade school that I went to was St. John of the Cross in Roslyn, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, that school has closed. It merged with some other ones, but in fact, my sister, who's 2 years behind me in school, she was a teacher there. She taught kindergarten through like 5th grade there. For 13 or 14 years, and now she teaches at Our Lady of Mount Carmel up in Doylestown. But I was at St. John of the Cross until 1982, and then Bishop McDevitt, and now I live in Upper Dublin, Pennsylvania, and I'm a member at St. Alphonsus Parish. And while my kids were going through St. Alphonsus, I helped coach basketball and track and some of the other CYO sports. I was the athletic director there for a couple of years. So I've remained involved in CYO because I got so much out of it, and I know so many people do. So that's why I like to stay involved.
We didn't really get a big chance to do that when we went to. He was in 1999. We moved up to presentation, and we were new to the neighborhood, and my daughter didn't go there because she went right to high school. So we didn't really. My one son didn't get involved with the CYO and all, and that is called the Christian Youth Organization.
Yeah,
right.
Basketball and all that.
Exactly. They had a basketball team. Remember, he was going to play baseball, or he did play baseball, or he tried to play baseball one year.
He played for Penn.
But he was going to play for presentation. But he never did. Right. And that's the kind of thing that he was doing while he was in high school. And then when he graduated, when he was go to help out, like he said, they would have dances and stuff like that.
Yep. Oh yeah. The CYO dances, everything.
Yep. He went to school. And that's what it was funny because that's the kind of stuff that we did back in the day. it was really cool. You would, and then he would go back and volunteer and help them when he was in college and stuff like that. So it's it's pretty cool.
Who are some of the some of your famous, some of your favorite people that you have met, like athletes?
Athletes?
Through the Maxwell Club.
Through the Maxwell Club. Okay, well, I'll take you back to my senior year of high school. So back then, the Maxwell Club only had 3 awards. They had the Maxwell Award, which goes back to 1937. That's the award that it's named after Robert Maxwell, who the club's named after. And then they had the Bert Bell Award, which is the Professional Player of the Year. And then my senior year, they added the Jim Henry. So at the dinner that it was at the old Adams Mark Hotel, the Maxwell winner that year was a guy by the name of Chuck Long. He was a quarterback for the University of Iowa. He went on to play for the Detroit Lions, and he won the Maxwell Award. The pro player that year, if you remember, it was 1980. The award was given in 1986, but it was for the 1985 season. Now, I don't know if you remember who won in '85. I'm sure your dad will remember. It was the Chicago Bears, and it was the Super Bowl Shuffle, right?
Yes.
And Walter Payton, who was my childhood idol. Like when I played running back, I loved watching Walter Payton play because Sweetness was the greatest, and he won the pro award. And so it was me, Sweetness, and Chuck Long. So I would say getting to meet your childhood idol when you're a senior in high school was pretty cool. Now since that time, I've gotten to meet a lot of great people: Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, Baker Mayfield. Last year, Chase Young, the defensive tackle or defensive end for the Washington Redskins, who played at Ohio State. What a terrific young man he is. So I had a chance over the years to meet Jerry Rice and Barry Sanders and lots of great coaches as well.
I told him once I found out you were involved in that, and he said, I can't wait to ask him who his favorite. I said he can't probably pick one, but Walter Payton. I watched every kind of show that they ever had with him on there, and ESPN has a couple of great things, and he was the greatest. He really was.
Kevin Jones from O'Hara.
Kevin Jones from O'Hara. I've met Kevin. He was one of our mini Max winners back in the day too. He won the high school award. We've had some great high school award winners who have gone on to play. You know who won our Jim Henry just a couple of years ago was a kid by the name of Jonathan Taylor. Now I don't know if you know that name, but he was from Salem, New Jersey, down in southern Jersey. He went on to play for the University of Wisconsin. And he just had a great rookie year for the Indianapolis Colts. So I guess he's going to get to play with Carson Wentz next year. But he's a running back for the Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor. So we've had a lot of guys that won our awards who go on to become great pros, which is it's fun to see.
That's awesome.
We met that. We saw him play at North.
Kevin Jones, yeah. My nephew was on the team at the time, so we went out to see him.
No,
he caught a punt and just went around the end and all the way up. Nobody touched him. I said, Steven, one person touched him.
Remember he did it again.
He did it again.
They gained the ball. Like 14.
That was a handoff. That was just a handoff. Yeah.
No, we laughed at that.
Well, your dad will remember this one, but I remember when I was in high school going down to the old Temple Stadium when it was in North Philly there and watching North Catholic play Frankfurt, and saw Blair Thomas have a tremendous game, and then go on to play obviously for Penn State and the New York Jets, and he comes to our dinner almost every year. We get to see him a lot too. Another
was he your age?
A little bit older than me, a couple of years in front of me.
Yeah, it was right. It was in between you and I, because I graduated North in '81. And
so I think I want to say he was like 83, maybe 84, somewhere in there.
I went to the games. I went to more of the games after than I did when I was in. Once this guy was born, then he drugged me because he knew all the kids on the team when he was.
Oh, I bet.
That age. We were living in Kensington, so he kept friends with all those kids to this day. What a great!
Oh, that's great. That is great. Well, you'll definitely. We got to get you down there next year, Steve, when we're back in business, and you get to meet some of these guys, because I'll tell you what, they're just terrific people, most of them, and they're really friendly, and you can ask them all your good questions because you've got a bunch of them.
Yeah, you get all their emails, and then we'll have your whole year will be booked.
Or maybe I can interview some of them there.
Oh God, yeah, that's right. He got a new microphone for his birthday.
Okay.
I forgot. He's going to be a traveling interviewer now. He's going
to
I'm gonna operate the camera, and he's gonna have the
Mhm.
phone attached to his camera. He's got it all set up.
Mhm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hear that you are a great family man. What is your favorite thing to do with your family in your free time?
Oh, my favorite thing to do with my family. Well, I've been blessed with two children who love to play sports as well. So I coached most of them when I was growing up, or when they were growing up, I was coaching them. And now that my son is a senior in college, so I've got to see him play college baseball for the last couple of years. And my daughter is a high school track and field runner. She's a sprinter like me, not a hurdler, but a sprinter and a jumper for Upper Dublin High School. So I've gotten to watch her, and she's going to go on to college down at Emory University down in Atlanta, where she's going to continue to run. So a lot of my free time I spend, watching and cheering on my kids and what they're doing. And we like to play, games around the house. We're always doing different things together. My son's now that his baseball career is kind of coming to a close, he's really getting into golf. So he and I have been doing that. Although the weather lately hasn't really cooperated.
What school does your son go to?
He goes to Middlebury College, which is up in Middlebury, Vermont. They're part of what's called the NESCAC, the New England Small College Athletic Conference. It's a Division III conference up there that includes Amherst and Williams and Tufts and Middlebury, Trinity College, a lot of New England and New York schools that are up that way.
Well, Tufts a tough school to get into.
It is very tough, and yeah, there are all those schools. They call all these schools the Little Ivies.
The one his son's a D3, and then the other schools, some of them depending on what sport, but most of them are all division. They're all both Division III schools.
Yes,
Amherst, all that,
yes.
right?
Amherst, Williams, Tufts, yes, Trinity, Colby, Boots, Bowdoin.
You guys might have played Amherst. You
I
played
played
no,
my
you played
choice.
St. Anselm.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yes.
or Anselm University.
Mhm.
So yeah, he was a catcher and an outfielder for them. So but unfortunately, this year it doesn't look like they're going to get their last season in with the pandemic that we're all battling. So unfortunately, he's not going to get to do that. But the good news is he applied to and got into a number of good law schools. So that's where he's headed somewhere next year.
I was going to ask you, did he follow in his dad's footsteps?
Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't think he would, but he really loved it, and he got to take a couple of classes there that he really likes. So but I think he wants to do different things in law. He's talking about maybe going into the Navy JAG program and serving in the Navy for a couple of years as a lawyer for the Navy after he gets
That's a
out.
great idea. Like you said, my dad tried to get me into Naval Academy because he did 20 years in the Navy, and to make a commitment at 17. So what
It's tough.
I tell kids, look, if you are interested in military, get your degree and then go to officers training school. And then when you're an officer, you can apply for the JAG and all the other stuff. And
Yep, that's exactly right, and that's the same thinking that I went through. I mean, I loved the Naval Academy. There was a young man that was in my high school that was from Roslyn, from my hometown, named Joey Vitelli. He was a running back when I was a freshman. He was a senior. He went on to play at the Naval Academy, and he ended up having a 30-year career and retired as a commander, I believe, from the Naval, or commander or captain from the Navy. But I just wasn't ready to make that commitment. My dad was Marine Corps, so he was enlisted in the Marine Corps, and that's, I think, what. And my grandfather served in the Navy, so that's what I think. We're probably a Navy family when it comes to it.
yeah, that's funny. When my dad, because he did 20 years, he got me at what's called an appointment where you can meet with somebody. His his parents, you had to do it through, or he had to do it through his senator, right? Your senator had to write a
Yes.
letter.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Probably he was in.
Yeah, but he went into just right into the
Oh,
Navy. Yeah, my
okay.
brother did 26 and a half years, but he went right out of 1 year he went to, I always say he played one soccer season at Camden County Community College, and then the next year he never made it to the so he
Went to the Navy.
yeah, went in the Navy in 1980. He graduated 79, and the next year he went in the Navy, and he did 26 and a half years. So it's like I said, when you go to the Naval Academy, though, you got to commit 9 years of your life. So
Correct.
Mark and I didn't want to make that decision at 18 in his case, and I was 17, so I sure as heck wasn't planning on doing it.
Now
And
he's done.
I never would have met your mother if I would have went.
That's right. Same. Well, I wouldn't have met my wife at the Naval Academy, probably.
He's done. He has 1 more year of eligibility, right? With not playing this year.
He actually has 2 years of eligibility because last year they got to play a couple of games. They were actually down in Texas playing a couple of games, and then the kind of the pandemic really kicked into high gear last March, and their season got canceled. So, yeah, I guess technically, if he goes to a law school, and although I don't think he's going to have any time to play, but yes, he does.
You go to law school, man.
Yeah,
That's what one of the questions he asked high school kids is, "What do you do in your free time?" If Rick was in his interview back in 1982 or 83, he didn't have no free time. He said he was CSC, CYO, track, football. He was doing everything.
We met that with the Florida.
What's that?
We met that with down to spring training.
Oh, you're talking Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, Wednesday, 1 year.
Yeah, we went for it was so funny. We had planned the trip because Stephen was in the hospital, and he got out in January, and then we had to go back down to Penn, not University of Penn, but the Penn doctors down on off of around the corner from Pennsylvania Hospital.
Oh yeah, yep. I know what you're talking about.
Building. There you go. And a great doctor. His name's Dr. Henry. He was a oncologist and a hematologist, and Stephen was going to for his hematology. And that's one thing about this kid. He knows his ologies. The first time he went down there, he reads the sign that says the cancer doctors, and he was like, "I don't have cancer, do I?" I kept telling him, no, not that we know. If we don't, And he's like, "Are you sure?" Because he knew oncology meant the cancer.
Wow, there you go. So, but you got to go down to spring training after that visit.
After that, and then we went to. So the doctor said it was safe. We were only going for a few days, so we went down, and I had the pleasure of meeting Andrew Knapp at my work.
Oh, okay.
And he, when we got down there, we looked for him, and then he took some time out, came over, and got some pictures and everything.
Oh, that's great.
Some stuff, and then we went to the games. We went to the games, and then went over to Greg Murphy and introduced ourselves. And I have a good friend that went to college with. My wife went to high school with her, and I should say good friend, a woman that I've known since college. Kathy Killian, her name is, and she works for the Phillies.
I should be next interview.
She's Steven's
good.
Yeah,
you're interviewing her next. Good.
Special Wednesday afternoon edition.
Oh, there you go.
And she's hooked him up with a bunch. She's gonna hook him up with a bunch of Phillies this year. But I told Greg Murphy who I was, and he was like, "This is the first time down here," and we were like, "Yeah." He goes, "Take your son around there," and he yelled over to the guards. So we got down at the 8th inning. We went down, and after the game, it was so cool. The players that were coming up to us, they're all young guys. Stephen was asking them all for autographs, and the one kid was so excited. He asked my wife, "What's your phone number? Could you send me? Can you send my cell phone to your those pictures?"
Oh, that's great.
Sure. He gives my wife his phone number. My wife's like, "I can't believe it. He's got a 20-year-old's phone number."
There's really cool. What's his name? The catcher.
The K2 Romuto.
Yeah.
Steven.
JT?
Yeah, we got a ball for autograph.
Oh, that's great.
Steven threw it on the field to him, and he literally signed it. And then this guy, one of the other catchers, was going to throw it back, and then we yelled, "You signed it too!" And he goes, "You sure? It's going to devalue the ball." And we said, "Sign it." And then we used that ball to get all the other guys to sign.
So what sport do you like watching the most, Steve? What sport do you like to watch on, either live or on television? What's your favorite to watch?
Soccer.
Soccer. Okay. All right. So are you a big Philly Union fan then, or?
Oh yeah.
We interviewed the coach this year.
Yeah, we did.
And two of the young players that just signed, they're both
16.
Both 16. They're both going to be 17 this year.
That's Coach Curtin, right?
Yes. He's from your area.
Yeah, he went to Germantown Academy. So my son, my son played soccer, football, and baseball for Germantown Academy before he went to Middlebury College. So, my son's a Germantown Academy graduate. So
That's crazy.
Mhm.
There you go, man. That's cool. But he went to McDevitt, Curtin.
Yeah.
right. And then I think he coached he was a
Yes,
coach.
yes, exactly. Because he was telling us about coaching the Germantown Academy. It was funny because he played at Villanova for a guy that coached me growing up in the Northeast area. Larry Sullivan was our all-star coach for the United Soccer League. Small world. All right, here's Steven's favorite question.
Okay.
If you could have dinner with 3 people like that work in sports or athletes or coaches, it could be dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Okay, so I heard you ask this before to some of your other interviewers, so I kind of tried to give this some thought, and I think my first one would be Vince Lombardi. So because I love football so much, I think I would love to sit down with Vince Lombardi. I mean, he was obviously he was a man of faith, Catholic, and he played at Fordham University and then coached at Fordham and the United States Military Academy, and obviously he's one of the all-time winningest coaches in NFL history. In fact, I think as an NFL head coach, I don't think he ever had a losing season. So I would love to sit down with him and pick his brain on tactics and how did he motivate people and how did he, become the leader that he was. So that he would probably be my first choice. I think my second choice would be a baseball player, a guy by the name of Roberto Clemente. I don't know if you know about Roberto Clemente.
Heard of it.
Okay, so he was a famous player for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he died unfortunately when he was about 38 years old, but in a plane crash. But one of the things that he was all about, and we talked about earlier about the importance of giving back to people and giving back to their communities. Well, he used to take baseball equipment and aid and food down to people in Latin America where he was from. I think he was from Puerto Rico, but he always helped the people down in Latin America because they didn't always have what the people up here did. So I always admired him for doing that and what he did. And actually, I think when he was killed, he was on a plane taking aid down to earthquake victims in Nicaragua, which is when he died. So, but he was a tremendous player. I think he was a 15-time All-Star. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. I think his batting average was over 300 for his career, and he had 3,000 hits. So I would love to pick his brain about, how do you do all that? How can you be that great a player and then still have time to do all this other stuff that he did in his community and for the people in Latin America? And then I think my third one would be a track athlete. And I don't know if you've ever heard her name. Her name was Wilma Rudolph. She was pretty famous back in the 50s and the 60s. She ran in the 56 Olympics and in the 1960 Olympics. And she was the first African-American woman athlete to win 3 gold medals in the same Olympics. And that was in 1960. But what people don't realize about her is she had several childhood illnesses. In fact, she suffered from polio, I think when she was 5 years old, and yet she overcame all those obstacles. And then, as you know, she faced a lot of racism, obviously growing up in that time period and even into the 60s, but yet she overcame her own personal issues and the racism issues. And she became one of the most famous American sprinters and represented our country so well. So I would love to pick her brain and find out, how did she deal with both the individual stuff that was going on in her life and then society at large? How did she handle all that and so gracefully?
Great choices.
Thank you for your time, man.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on here. I mean, I like I said, I know Coach Leo from my days at McDevitt when he only coached me that 1 year. He was kind of mad at me, I'll tell you, and I'm sure he'll watch this and he'll tell you. But the track coaches really wanted me back, and at that time they wouldn't let me play baseball and track. And back when I was growing up, and your dad can probably confirm this, a lot of us played baseball during the summers. I played for the American Legion team in Roslyn, and so a lot of my baseball was played during the summers. So the way I figured it, I played football in the fall, I ran indoor track, and then I ran outdoor track in the winter and the spring, and then I played baseball over the summer. So I got all the sports in. But if I would have played baseball for McDevitt and continued to play, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be on so many good track teams. But I know Coach Leo, he still loves me, but I know he wanted me to keep playing baseball with him. But I enjoyed hooking back up with him. Do you know Fran Walsh? Did you ever meet Fran Walsh? He was a football player for Archbishop Wood. He helps out with Athletes Helping Athletes. He ended up winning our Jim Henry Award, and he went on to play for Villanova University. Well, when Fran won the award, because Fran volunteered for Athletes Helping Athletes, Coach Leo was at the award presentation, and that's how we matched up again after all these years. I hadn't seen him, and here it was through Fran Walsh and Athletes Helping Athletes that we got hooked up again. So
That is fun.
it's been great to reconnect with him, and like I said, Athletes Helping Athletes has a special place with the Maxwell Football Club. So
Is he in his 30s? Is he in his 30s, Fran?
Fran, not quite. He's probably I would think he's about 27 or 28, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Now, where did he go? Did he go to high school at
Archbishop Wood? He played at Archbishop Wood, and then his younger brother Tommy Walsh graduated maybe 2 years ago, and he's the current player at the University of Delaware now.
Okay, because he met a lot of the kids. They had a football fun days up at Council Rock.
Council Rock, yep.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of kids that they play a little game every year before the kids have the fun day. And
Okay.
there was a bunch of people we met there that day. But he met a lot of the guys from Wood at different things. But we didn't go to many of the football games because of the COVID. We did tennis football games 2 years ago.
Ryan,
And Ryan.
Judge Lincoln.
Yeah, Judge Lincoln.
Judge Lincoln, yep.
Yeah. No offense, but the girls' sports are a little better with the AHA kids, I think.
Yeah, they probably are. And I know my daughter and her friends have done a couple of the fun nights, and they love to do them. So
Yeah,
but it was just great to hook back up with Coach Leo, and I'm glad he set this up. And I thank you so much I'm flattered that you would have me on, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, absolutely. We really appreciate you taking time out of your now it's even busier schedule. He's a lawyer. I know he's a lawyer, Steve. Oh man.
Right.
Well, thank you very much, Mark.
Okay, you guys take care. Be
care.
safe. Be well. Okay.
Good job, Steve.